Shalom, brothers and sisters out there. I want to first give all praise to Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai, and I want to give double honors to the elders out there and to the brothers out there that's pushing this truth through all the camps around the world and pushing this truth with honesty and sincerity. And I want to get into today's lesson, and it's a very spiritual lesson I want to get into. I want to make a video about it. I don't know how long the video is going to be, but through the spirit of the Lord, Lord willing, He just guide me through this video and through this lesson. And I don't know how long the video is going to be again, but as long as the Lord allows it to be, hopefully, Lord willing, this lesson will be edifying. But today's lesson, I want to talk about. I talked about spiritual power in, I believe, my last video or the video before the one I did previously, but in this video, I want to talk about basically the UFOs. I know a lot of y'all probably, for those of y'all don't know about the UFOs or hear about UFOs, a lot of you tend to acquaint it, I should say, with like sci-fi movies. Typically aliens. A lot of people, they hear the term UFOs, the first thing they think about is aliens. And, most of the time when people talk about UFOs, some people believe in aliens and whatever. And, some people talk about not necessarily aliens, but again, the term UFO, which is UFO stands for unidentified flying objects. But when people are talking about, random people are talking about UFOs, some people will, seem to be interested in it, or some people will just, look at you and just cast you off as crazy for talking about it. But the reality is that UFOs are real. They are real, and they're in the Bible and they're in the scriptures. But the thing about it is, UFOs and, well, I should say, aliens aren't in those UFOs. Okay, now all that stuff you see in the movies and stuff, these people in Hollywood, these Jewish producers, I should say, they're not really the real Jews. They're imposters of the real Jews, who are the Hebrew Israelites. Who is, as I say in my video, you blacks, Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. We the real Hebrew Israelites, and we're the real Jews according to the Bible. But these white people are, impersonating us. They're imposters, and they have taken our identity. Especially these Jewish directors in Hollywood. They make all these movies, and if you ever watch these movies, whether it's action movies or sci-fi movies or any other sort, they get a lot of the inspirations from the Bible. Especially movies like Independence Day, or any other type of movie that has to deal with somewhat with aliens or spaceships, or again, UFOs. They get it from the Bible. But the reality is like I said in this lesson, is that according to the Bible, UFOs are real. And the thing about it is, aliens aren't on those UFOs. They're angels. I'm saying angels are on those UFOs. And Christ is also, He's going to be on those UFOs when the book of Revelation comes into play, which, we are, getting close to that time. For those of you who haven't been paying attention or keeping up with world events, just so happens that David Rockefeller died. That's an omen. That's a sign from the Lord. And what else? Oh, again, let's not forget, Iran dropped the dollar. That's a bad sign too, for America. I'm saying these things are coming to pass, and there's so many other prophecies that's just coming to pass, and this is the Lord speeding it up. But anyway, like I said, this lesson is about the UFOs, and basically just describing the UFOs in the scriptures of the Bible. And where you can find it is you especially, mainly find it in the book of Ezekiel, which I'm about to read and break some scriptures down for those of you, who are watching this video and want to understand. Because in these last days, and I'm talking, to you fellow Hebrew Israelites out there, you blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, when these UFOs actually appear and they start to show themselves, I'm saying, if you in this truth, and for those of you who aren't in this truth, and eventually will be in this truth, Lord willing, you get this truth today. This lesson is if this lesson is edifying, Lord willing, it is. You would know that these UFOs are actually our salvation, because we're not going to get out of this captivity, America, on our own. We need a power much far beyond our understanding to get us out of here, because these Esau, these so-called white men, these white people that rule the world right now, this white man has too much technology for us. He has too many guns, advanced technologies that we ourselves can't protect ourselves against. You know what I'm saying? He has a tight grip on us right now. You know what I'm saying? So the only way our salvation is those UFOs. You know what I'm saying? And that's and those UFOs are spiritual. You know what I'm saying? They were created by the Most High God, Yahweh. And Yahweh Shai, who the world even calls Jesus Christ, is going to be on those UFOs, or the scripture would describe it as the chariots. He's going to be on that chariot, that UFO, when, the end of the world, the book of Revelation, takes place, when America finally collapsed, the dollar bill finally collapsed, and, the way that, the way of American life will cease to exist, will no longer remain any longer. And when America goes down, that's when our nation, Israel, will come into power. You know what I'm saying? Being ruled, over by Yahushua, you know what I'm saying, who is, again, our Lord and Savior. And we're going to be ruling alongside him, the 144,000, the elect. But again, let me get into this lesson about the UFOs. That's in the scriptures. Okay, this is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 1, verse 1. And it reads, "Now it came to pass in the 13th year, in the 4th month, in the 5th day of the month, as I was among the captives by the river of Chebar, that the heavens were opened, and I saw visions of God, Yahweh. In the 5th day of the month, which was the 5th year of King Jehoiachin, King Jehoiachin's captivity." This is verse 3. "The word of the Lord came expressively unto Ezekiel, the priest, the son of Buzi, in the land of the Chaldeans, by the river Chebar, and the hand of the Lord was there upon him. And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud, and a fire enfolding itself, and a brightness was about it, and out of the midst thereof as the color of amber." Now, the color of amber, just to describe that, is like, the color of amber is basically like a bright, glowing, orangish type red color. You know what I'm saying? It's like a fiery type color. You know what I'm saying? That's the color of amber, and it's really bright. So what Ezekiel saw was this very bright thing. This he, to the best of his ability, trying to describe it, this vehicle. You know what I'm saying? This which really, this chariot was a very bright looking chariot, and you can see them most of the times if you ever get a chance. You know what I'm saying? Just to look up at the sky. You think they stars, but some of them aren't stars. If you really take a good look at them, those are actually the angels up there watching over us right now. They just look like stars, but they're actually a chariot. They're really bright looking. They look like a star, but they're not. But it's said that he described that it was the color of amber, and amber is like a really bright, fiery, like I said, reddish orange. But continuing with the scriptures, where we're at, Salakia, bear with me. Okay, I'm gonna read verse 4 again. It said, "And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud, and a fire enfolding itself, and a brightness was about it, and out of the midst thereof, as the color of amber, out of the midst of the fire." Okay, verse 5. "Also, out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures." Now, this is going to describe who these creatures are that came out of this fire, which is really, again, a chariot, or the UFOs, because the UFOs are really bright. So he described these creatures coming out of some fire, but it really wasn't a fire. It was a chariot, a UFO. It was very bright, and he tried to describe it the best he can. And as I get through the scriptures, you're gonna actually see him trying to describe what he saw, and as he depicted it, it is indeed, you know, you can compare it as a UFO. Let's see what was it. Yeah, verse 5. Also, out of the midst thereof came a likeness of 4 living creatures, and this was their appearance. They had the likeness of a man, okay? And every one had 4 faces, and every one had 4 wings, and their feet were straight feet, and the sole of their feet was like the sole of a calf's foot. So, you know, if you ever seen a movie like Percy Jackson's uh, Olympus, I forget the name of the movie, but Brandy T. Jackson, he was in that movie. If you know him, he's another brother that woke up to this truth. You watch some of his videos. He played a character. He was like a half man, half goat. So that's basically what they're trying to describe. That these creatures, these angels, their feet look just like, you know, goats' feet. Basically, it was, you know, it was divided a hoof, and, you know, that's how their feet looked. You know, see, these these angels were, you know, very, you know, scary looking. They didn't look nothing like no, you know, white angel with blonde hair, blue eyes, you know, 1 angel, 2 angel wings, or 1 whatever in a halo and looking all innocent. Nah, that's not the real angels. These angels were scary and tough looking. They're basically like designed to be warriors of the Most High. You're gonna see them, Lord willing, in these last days, you know, when all hell breaks loose. I'm saying that's the prophecy that's been spoken in the book of Revelations. But getting back to this lesson, the book of Ezekiel. Verse. Okay, yes, verse 8. Getting into, okay. And they had the hands of a man under their wings on their 4 sides, and they 4 had their faces and their wings. These are angels again. Verse 9. Their wings were joined one to another. They turned not when they went. They went everyone straight forward. So they had 4 wings. So their wings were connected, and they, you know, wherever they went, they, you know, those wings with them. You know, these angels, these wings were connected to them. You know, so these angels, obviously. Let me see, where am I here? Straightforward. Okay, verse 10. As for the likeness of their faces, now pay attention. I'm reading again, verse 10. As for the likeness of their faces, they 4 had the face of a man. So the first detail of this angel is he had a face like a man. And for the record, these angels are black men, and I can prove that in my next video when I describe, you know, basically the images, which I did in my previous videos, the image of Christ and the image of God, who the world calls God. And, you know, it pretty much describes that really these angels are black men. They had a face of a man, but these were black men. But anyway, so it said one was the likeness of the face. I'm going to read again, verse 10. As for the likeness of their face, they 4 had the face of a man and the face of a lion on the right side, and they 4 had the face of an ox on the left side. They 4 also had the face of an eagle. So these angels had 4 faces. These are the real images of the angels, not the ones you see on TV in these cartoons, these fake looking white angels. They're not real. These angels are, you know, scary and terrifying looking, but they are compassionate, you know, to, you know, the Israelites. You know what I'm saying, because these angels know that the Israelites, us, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, are, you know, the true children of the Lord. So, you know, scary as they are, they have compassion about them, you know. But yeah, they're very terrifying looking, and they will fuck some shit up. They're big. They have 4 faces, like it's described in the scriptures here: the face of a man, the face of a lion, the face of an ox, and an eagle. So, human face in the front, and then it said the lion's face was on the right, and the ox face was on the left, and the eagle face was in the back. So these angels could see all around them. You know what I'm saying? These were very terrifying, looking beings. All right, getting back into the scripture, verse 11. Thus were their faces, and their wings were stretched upward toward us, upward, Slakia. Two wings of every one were joined one to another, and two covered their bodies. So they had four wings. So two of the wings were standing up, like, standing up, and the other wings, the other two wings, was wrapped around them. You know what I'm saying? That's how they look. And again, they had feet like calf's feet, like a goater. Basically, just for an example, divided of the hoof, fucking, you know what I mean, like divided of the hoof. They had calf's feet, in the previous verse, verse 12, and they went everyone straight forward, whither the Spirit was to go. They went, and they turned not when they went. As for the likeness of the living creatures, their appearance was like burning coals of fire, and like the appearance of lamps. So they were very bright, these angels, like lamps, It went up and down among the living creatures, and the fire was bright, and out of the fire went forth lightning. And Salakia. We're going to read back verse 12. And they went everyone straight forward, whither the Spirit was to go. They went, and they turned not when they went. As for the likeness of the living creatures, their appearance was like burning coals of fire, and like the appearance of lamps. It went up and down among the living creatures, and the fire was bright, and out of the fire went forth lightning, and the living creatures ran and returned as the appearance of a flash of lightning. So basically, these chariots, what it was really describing as these chariots basically zap these angels back and forth, upward and downward into the chariots, like just like that. You know what I'm saying? They can, pick you up into the chariot like lightning, and then bring you back down in same light, in the same like manner. Getting into verse 14, Slaki. And the living creatures ran and returned as the appearance of the flash of lightning. Okay, verse 15. Now as I beheld the living creatures, behold, one wheel upon the earth by the living creatures with his four faces. Verse 16. The appearance of the wheel and their work was like unto the color of burley. Now this is describing the chariots. Again, he's describing the chariots. This wheel, and how is the verse. So like as the scriptures continue to read, he's going to break it down in the detail what these chariots look like. He already described them as being bright like amber, like like I said before, like a fire type color, because they were really bright. Colors of burley, Slakia. And they four had one likeness in their appearance, and their work was as it were a wheel in the middle of a wheel. Now right there, wheel in the middle of a wheel. Now if you were Ezekiel and you were trying to describe this thing that you saw, which we, in today you call it a vehicle or whatever. This is really a UFO, but he didn't know what it was. He was just trying to describe it the best that he could. Slakia. He's trying to describe this chariot, this UFO, the best that he could. But in this verse it says, I'm gonna read it again. The color of burley, and they four had one likeness in their appearance, and their work was as it were a wheel in the middle of a wheel. So if you were Ezekiel and you saw a UFO, keep in mind the UFO is in the sky, okay? You're sitting on the ground, standing on the ground, and you're looking up. You seeing a UFO spinning, okay? That's a wheel. Again, that's the UFO. It's a wheel. And in the middle of that wheel, is another wheel spinning. You know what I'm saying? It's like a wheel in the middle of the wheel. That's the UFO. That wheel you see in the middle of it is basically, that same wheel that, is used as a light to abduct or to gather, any person's of body. Basically to if a light was shine down like you see in the movies, and it would lift whoever that light shines upon, and lift them up into the chariot. It was a wheel spinning in the middle of the wheel. That's a UFO. If you were standing on the ground and you look up, that's what you would see. You know what I'm saying? But Ezekiel didn't know. He was just trying to describe it into the best of his ability. Verse 17. When they went upon their four sides, and they turned not when they went. So these chariots didn't turn like you would see a jet, like how a jet would fly, and it would turn, to go to another direction or go down. It does this turn thing, and but a UFO, these chariots, God's vehicles, they don't do that. These chariots go straight, back, side, up, down, reappear, disappear. These UFOs are highly advanced technology, not even alone technology. They're highly spiritual. That's what makes them so advanced. You know what I'm saying? This is something that these chariots are something you even today couldn't even comprehend. You can comprehend the way they look and know that they're a chariot, a UFO, or what you would call a chariot in the scripture, but you still wouldn't even begin to phantom or understand what drives these chariots, these UFOs. They're spiritual. You know what I'm saying? You have to be a spiritual body to control these things, which the angels and Yahushai and Yahweh, being spiritual, can do. They can control these vehicles, these UFOs, these chariots that the Bible speaks of. Verse 18. As for their rings, they were so high. You say it was in the sky, so high that they were dreadful. So in ancient time they'd never seen anything so high in the sky. But they've never seen a plane. Nothing like the only thing they've ever seen in the sky to be so high is a bird. In ancient days. But to see a vehicle, something like that, and very bright, just so high up in the sky like that, just moving around, and it didn't coming still in the sky, but come down close enough to where you can actually see it in detail what it looked like. This, it was dreadful. It was a scary thing for Ezekiel to see. All right, it's exciting. These chariots are amazing. These UFOs, God's vehicles. Which, yes, he does have. They're very spiritual. Let's see here. Verse 18 again. As for the rings, they were so high that they were dreadful, and their rings were full of eyes around about them four. So now those rings also what it's talking about in those chariots are the windows. You know what I'm saying? There were windows in these chariots. It looked like eyes to him, but they were windows. That's why he continues to say in verse 19, and when the living creatures went, the wheels went by them. And when the living creatures were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up. So, these wheels he saw too, these windows, which they were, he said where wheels went, the angels went too, because these angels could see through these windows. So wherever chariot went, they went with. They were inside the vehicle, inside the UFO, the chariots. Let's see if I can get one more verse here. Verse 20. Whithersoever the spirit was to go, they went. Thither was their spirit to go, and the wheels were lifted up over against them. For the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels. So again, they were in the chariots. They were in this UFO, and that's what we're in. That's what are inside these UFOs, not aliens but angels. So Esau, the so-called white man, these producers, these white people in these movies, they like to portray these UFOs as being aliens. or Martians or whatever. But you know, the reality is there's angels. Those are angels on those UFOs, and those are our salvation out of this captivity. You know, for you Negroes, you Latinos, and Native American Indians, you know, you true Hebrew Israelites of the Bible. That's our salvation out of this out of this nightmare. Slacky. Yeah, out of this nightmare, you know, because America is our captivity. You know what I'm saying? There's no true freedom here. Not the real freedom that we're going to get in the kingdom. You know what I'm saying? If we keep the law, statutes, and commandments and keep them, you know, to the best of your ability here, and we'll keep them, you know, for eternity in the kingdom, and we'll live righteously. We'll no longer have to worry about, you know, paying bills or, you know, a bunch of other stuff that, you know, is really stressful here in this life. But yeah, that's the angels. So yeah, you know, again, you ever think about UFOs or you know, ever so happen to get into a conversation about UFOs, you know the truth now. You go in the book of Ezekiel, and it's the first chapter, and it'll tell you, you know what I'm saying, there ain't no aliens on that UFO, it's angels. You know what I'm saying? That's what's on those UFOs. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no aliens. None of that stuff you see in the movies. You know what I'm saying? UFOs are real, angels are real, and they're on that UFO. You know what I'm saying? It even said I'm gonna get one more scripture just to kind of end it off. Just give me a second here. I'm trying to get see if I can find the book of Acts, chapter 1 and 11. Give me 1 second here. 28. Yeah, because, yeah, it's, you know, all this illusions and things of, yeah, these illusions of things and, what this white man be putting out here in these movies to confuse you, you know, to make you feel afraid when these chariots come. You know what I'm saying? When you see them, don't be afraid. No, that's your salvation. That, you know, the angels are on that ship, and you know, Yahushua, our Lord and Savior, you know, say who the world inwardly calls Jesus Christ, real name Yahushua, is on that chariot, and that's our salvation. That's how the Lord's going to deliver us out of this captivity when World War III commits, and all this other hell commits too. You know, the dollar bill collapsing first and foremost, and then World War III. Because when these nuclear bombs hit America, you don't want to be around when that happens. You really, really don't. I'm telling you right now, it's bad news for those who, you know, don't want to take heed to these words and these scriptures. But anyway, this is the book of Acts, chapter 1, verse 11. And it's talking about Yahushua. Which also said ye, men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? You know, he's basically saying, staring up into the sky, you know, the heavens. Why are you doing that? You know what I'm saying? This same Jesus, Yahushua, which is taken up from you into heaven, shall so come in like manner as ye have seen him go into heaven. Basically, he's saying, like, why he told these in the book of Acts, you know, this man told these Galileans, you know, why are you staring up into the sky for? You know, this very man, Jesus, or true name Yahushua, you know what I'm saying, the same, when he went up into the sky, the same way he went up into the sky, into those chariots, is really what they were saying, because the chariots were probably way up high in the sky, they probably couldn't see it, but they could still carry Yahushua up into the chariots, even way up in the sky. And they said, you know, just the same way he went up into the sky into those chariots, the same way he gonna come back. You know, when these UFOs come back, he gonna descend and come back in that same like manner. You know what I'm saying? So that's why he told the Galileans, you know, what you staring, looking up in the sky for? He gonna come back the same way he left, and that's gonna be in the book of Revelations. But yeah, I just wanted to touch on that subject about, you know, UFOs, and you know, show you that, you know, UFOs are real, and they're in the Bible, and it's scriptural. You know what I'm saying? It's very, and it's spiritual too. And you know, the Bible speaks nothing but truth. You know, if you want, and for those who don't believe, then, you know, hey, don't believe, but when you see it, you'll believe it. You know what I'm saying? It's always, you know, certain type of people out there, you know, they gotta see it to believe it, but by then it'll be too late, you know. But, you know, for all you other, you know, you brothers and sisters out there that's watch this video, again, if you want to learn more about the chariots, you can look up my video, this video, or again, it's like you can go into the book of Ezekiel, I don't know if you want Ezekiel, or the book of Acts. and and you can tell and spread the that message around, like let people know that in these last days, if you ever do see a UFO or things of that nature, just know that ain't no aliens on there. You know what I'm saying? That's our salvation. Those are angels on that ship, on that spaceship, on that chariot, on that UFO that the world calls UFO. And Yahushua, again, who the world literally calls Jesus Christ, is also on that UFO. And then he's gonna come back on that UFO. The whole world's gonna see him. Just like the movie Independence Day. That's how it's gonna be. You know what I'm saying? So again, UFOs are real, and hopefully this lesson was, edifying. And with that, I want to say shalom.